everyone, today I'm going to run through the kettlebell front squat. It's an excellent all-round exercise focusing mainly on the lower body, but because you happen to rack either one or two kettlebells in your arms, that brings in the front of the body actually holding onto the kettlebells, and also the posterior chain because you're having to resist from being pulled over with the kettlebells. So I'm just going to demonstrate the double kettlebell front squat. So if you want to observe first. From the front. Okay, so the important things are, going back to a previous video that I did, was the double dead clean. Obviously, if you've only one kettlebell, it's only going to be a single arm movement, which is obviously the single arm clean into one side. You can counterbalance with the other hand. Much easier with one, but depending on the weight, of course. First of all, whenever you have the kettlebell actually in the rack position, ensure that the elbow is close to the side and not way out here, or out here, because you're just going to fatigue your shoulder and the bicep as well from holding it there. Whenever you're upright, you should allow your elbow to actually rest into the front of the hip, bring the hips forward and allow a rest. So your glutes are actually still tight, allowing your hips to come forward and allow a nice wee rest there. Whenever you're actually going down into the downward movement of the squat, your elbow will naturally migrate outwards, and that's fine, just as long as you remember to rest it again in the rack position after you stand up again from the squat. The reason for that is that your upper body is obviously not going to be as strong as your legs, and it will fatigue a lot quicker. So that just prevents, or at least slows that from happening, slows that down from happening. Right. Key pointers of doing the front squat, even in squats in general, some of these are good principles to apply. Creating a pressure within the abdomen and the body is going to benefit you in trying to stabilise the muscles, provide that enough power to actually come back up from the squat as the weight increases. So before you actually start into the squat, take a deep breath in and hold it until you get to the lowest part. So, and then breathe in again and power up. Now whenever you're powering up, two key things to remember. Whenever you see, sometimes when people are doing squats, you'll see this. Maybe exaggerated, but in some cases that isn't even exaggerated. The knees are coming in. In order to prevent that from happening, consciously on the way up, keep forcing the knees outwards, and that into the ground and out. That's where you want to be concentrating. Your heels and your quads are going down and out, and that will at least help your body to correct that one point that will actually save your knees, because a lot of people complain about squats causing knee trouble. There can be other reasons for it, but that is one thing that's going to aggravate a knee problem, is that imbalance is there, allowing the knee to bow inwards. The other thing is that lower back to protect it. From the side, you'll maybe see people doing this. Right, let me see, squatting. kettlebell squatting, right? So we're here, say they get down, but then they're coming up like this. And they're really extending the lower back and almost trying to curve upwards. In order to try and prevent that from happening, you need to consciously squeeze the glutes and actually try and actively tilt the pelvis forwards and under your shoulders. That's quite hard to explain. But even if you're trying to do that, you actually are flattening the lower back, preventing that from overextending with the kettlebell, putting that all into practice. So down here, and you want the hips to almost snap forward like in the kettlebell swing and in the clean as well. Allowing that snap forward will put you into an ideal position, keeping the tension there. Never let the tension go whenever you're holding the kettlebell. Just keeping that tension in the glutes and the hips will prevent any sort of core injuries or lower back injuries, or at least help towards preventing it. So again, then rest. So obviously variations of the front squat are the single arm, the double kettlebell squat, also the goblet squat is also a front squat because the weight is at the front body. Holding it in both hands. This will work your grip and also your forearms and biceps as well as the shoulders. But the same principles apply. You want to be able to, because the weight is actually further out, try and keep it as close to the body as you can. Just obviously the further away the weight is from the body, the harder it is on your back. Keeping it close to the body, sitting back, knees outside of the elbows, so the elbows are tracking inwards. Once you get here, same principles, breathe in, apply that pressure, and forward. The goblet squat is quite good for beginners, but it's good to get into the habit of trying the rack position, getting comfortable with the sort of inward, tight to the body, and almost like resting on the hips. When you have two kettlebells, it's easier because you're not tempted just to sort of lean to one side. That's really it. Sometimes about how deep you should go in your squat. The jury's out on this, but the biggest piece of advice I can give you is go to wherever feels most comfortable, and beyond a point, there's certain points where it becomes uncomfortable, either in the hips, the knees, or the lower back. I wouldn't push beyond that. Naturally, your depth will increase over time. The more you do stretches around your hips, hip openers and things like that, it will naturally improve. One thing that is said, the lower back, as you're coming down, it stays straight, and then the pelvis part starts to curve around. There's a bit of debate about whether or not that's the deepest point of your squat, whenever that starts to happen. Personally, I've never had any trouble going beyond that. In fact, as I have gone beyond that, my depth has improved, and that curving has actually decreased at that point. You know, I've been able to go deeper and deeper, but it's a personal preference, and don't take my word for it. Consult a physiotherapist if you have any doubts or any questions about knee pain or lower back pain, or indeed hip pain. But these are the pointers on how to do the front squat. If you have any further queries, come to my blog, myomytv.com, and I'll be happy to answer any as I can. And I hope you enjoy this this tutorial. Excellent exercise for toning up the legs and glutes. Brilliant strength exercise, can lead on to a lot of other exercises as well. And like I was saying, combinations. So play around with it, have fun, and I'll see you soon.